Every single sunrise hands you a brush, and your life, beloved, is the canvas. The question is, what will you paint today? Discipline is not the harsh voice in your head that tells you you're never enough. It is not the cracked whip of perfection or the chain of comparison you wear around your neck like penance. No, beloved, discipline is daily forgiveness. It is the sacred practice of rising once more from the dust of yesterday's broken promises to yourself. It is the quiet courage to say, even if I didn't do it yesterday, I still deserve the chance to try again today. We've been taught to associate discipline with punishment, to think of it as something rigid, joyless, cold. But true discipline, soul-deep discipline, is an act of grace. It is the way you tell yourself, I matter enough to show up for. It is not perfection you are chasing. It is consistency born from love. You are not trying to become someone else. You are trying to become yourself, unburdened by fear, procrastination, and shame. When you practice discipline from a place of love, it becomes a form of devotion. It's not a checklist. It's not hustle for the sake of ego. It's sacred ritual. It's how you return to your purpose when the world tries to distract you with glitter and noise. It's how you silence the inner critic that says, you failed again, and instead answer with, but I showed up again, and that is enough for today. Forgiveness lives in every repetition. Every time you rise at the same hour, every time you choose what nourishes over what numbs, every time you sit down to write, to pray, to build, to speak kindly when you want to scream, that is forgiveness. It is your spirit telling your body, we are still becoming. We are still worthy. You do not build a life in grand gestures. You build it in the return, again and again and again. You will not feel like it every day. That is the truth. The discipline must live beyond your feelings, because your feelings will shift with the wind, but your why, your deep-rooted reason for doing the work, that must hold steady like the mountain inside you. You must befriend the part of you that resists. Understand it, but do not obey it. It is only fear wearing the mask of fatigue. It is only doubt dressed up as logic. Do not let it sit at the head of your table. And when you break your rhythm, as you surely will, do not use that as evidence that you are broken. Do not gather up your failures like stones to throw at yourself. That is not discipline. That is self-destruction wearing the name of self-control. Instead, take a breath, forgive the lapse, and begin again, not to punish, not to prove, but because you can. Because you are still here. Because every new morning is an invitation to write a different ending to the story you've been telling yourself about your limits. Discipline teaches you to trust yourself again. Each promise kept becomes a brick in the foundation of your new life. And that foundation is not built in a day. It is built daily. Some days you will soar, other days you will crawl, but even a crawl forward is movement. Even a whisper of effort is still a voice saying, I will not give up on me. And so you rise, not to be perfect, not to impress, but because you are worthy of the effort. You are worthy of your own time, your own attention, your own healing. You are not here to perform for the world. You are here to become whole. And that journey is not paved by flawless execution, but by merciful repetition. Over and over, until the practice becomes the proof, until the forgiveness becomes your freedom, until the discipline becomes your return to love. There will come a time when the voices around you grow louder than the voice within, when every opinion, every judgment, every sideways glance threatens to shape the way you see yourself. You will be tempted to forget who you are because someone else forgot how to see you clearly. But in those moments, you must return. Return to your own voice, your own truth, your own power. You must speak life over yourself. Words, child, are not just sound. They are seeds. And every day, with every sentence, you are planting something in the soil of your spirit. The question is, what are you growing? What are you nourishing with your thoughts, your whispers, your inner dialogue? Because the world will offer you 1,000 reasons to shrink, to doubt, to question your worth. But it is your own voice that has the final say. You cannot wait for someone else to validate what God has already placed inside you. You cannot build your self-esteem on borrowed affirmations. Sooner or later, the applause will stop. The crowd will move on. The silence will fall. And in that silence, your own words must be strong enough to sustain you. You must be the one to say, I am still worthy. I am still here. I am still becoming. Speak life over yourself when you rise in the morning, before the weight of the day settles on your shoulders. Remind your reflection that it is not just skin and bones staring back at you. It is a soul wrapped in resilience, a story still unfolding. Say your name with reverence. Declare your purpose with clarity. Look yourself in the eyes and say, I deserve joy. I deserve peace. I deserve to take up space. Don't just speak when you feel confident. Speak especially when you don't. When fear is thick in your chest, speak anyway. When self-doubt creeps into your thoughts, speak louder. Let your voice be the lighthouse that guides you back to shore. There is power in your tongue. There is healing in your breath. And when you use both with intention, you shift the atmosphere, not just around you, but inside you. You've been told to be humble. But somewhere along the way, humility became self-erasure. You started believing that playing small was holy, that silence was virtue, that confidence was arrogance. But let me tell you this, there is nothing divine about dimming your light to make others comfortable. Humility is not denying your strength. It is knowing where it comes from and using it with grace. You can be powerful and kind, bold and gentle, whole and still growing. So speak with the wisdom of someone who knows they are made of miracles. Speak to the child inside you who is still waiting to hear that they are enough. Speak to the version of you who has walked through fires you never told anyone about. Speak to the future you who is waiting on the other side of your own belief. Speak and let your words build a ladder out of every pit you've ever fallen into. This world is already full of critics. Be your own advocate. Be your own encourager. Be the one who says, I am proud of me, not because you're perfect, but because you keep showing up, because you keep trying, because you refuse to let bitterness be your soundtrack. Write affirmations and tape them to your mirror. Speak them aloud until your doubt begins to tremble, until the lies that were planted in you by careless people begin to wither, until the truth becomes muscle memory. Speak until your soul starts to sing again. Speak until your silence breaks open and spills into song. Your words have creative power. Your breath carries spirit. Your voice is not just an instrument, it is an altar. Use it to bless, not to curse. Especially when you are speaking to yourself, speak with love, speak with fire, speak with reverence, speak with the certainty that your words are not wasted. They are working even when you can't see it, even when you don't feel it. Speak life over and over until life is all you hear. Focus is not just a skill, it is a devotion, a quiet act of worship, a commitment not to the noise of the world, but to the stillness of purpose. Every day you are given a limited measure of energy, attention, and time. And how you spend them is how you build the architecture of your life. When you waste your focus, you waste your fire, and that fire is sacred. You must begin to see your focus like a flame you carry in your palms. A small burning light that must be sheltered from wind, from chaos, from careless distraction. It is not a wildfire. It does not burn everything in its path. It is deliberate, controlled, lit with intention, and protected with discipline. Without that protection, your flame flickers. It scatters its light in too many directions and becomes smoke instead of power. But when you train your focus, truly train it, you transform that flame into a torch. one that leads you forward, one that sets your path ablaze with clarity. The world we live in will offer you 100 things to look at before you've even had your morning tea. Screens, alerts, urgencies that are not yours to solve. People with loud voices and shallow roots. You must understand, distraction is not innocent. It is a thief dressed in the costume of convenience. It steals your hours, your peace, your attention span, and offers you nothing but the illusion of motion. You think you're moving, but you're only spinning. You think you're working, but you're only reacting. There is no depth in that dance. So you must protect your mind as fiercely as you protect your body. You must be intentional about where your attention goes, because what you focus on, you feed. And what you feed, you grow. Focus on fear, and fear expands. Focus on what you lack, and lack will become your language. But focus on your purpose, your growth, your healing, then watch how your life rearranges itself around that sacred priority. Training your focus is not glamorous work. It is not always exciting. It does not always feel urgent, but it is necessary and it is holy, because to train your focus is to reclaim your power, to say, my energy will not be scattered like crumbs across a table for anyone to take, to say, my presence belongs to the things that build me, not break me. You train your focus by saying no, by turning away, by silencing the impulse to check, scroll, reply. You train your focus by creating rituals that honor your attention span, by choosing slowness over frenzy, by committing to deep work instead of shallow habits. It is a practice, a daily turning inward, a returning to what matters again and again, even when everything outside you tries to pull you off course. And when your mind wanders, as it surely will, do not shame it. Bring it back gently, like a mother calling her child home. The discipline is not in never losing focus. It is in your ability to return to it without judgment. That is how you build mental stamina. That is how you learn to hold the flame steady even when the winds rise. Focus is also about honesty. You must ask yourself, what am I choosing when I allow my attention to drift? Because every distraction is a choice. Every redirection is a decision. Are you choosing avoidance because the work scares you? Are you choosing ease because effort feels like too much? When you are honest with yourself about these questions, you will begin to reclaim the parts of you that have been surrendered to convenience and fear. This world has never needed more scattered people. It needs focused souls, grounded spirits, people who are not ruled by impulse but led by intention. When you train your focus, you are not just increasing your productivity, you are learning to be present with your own life. You are learning to carry your purpose like a sacred torch and walk through this world as someone who has not forgotten what they came here to do. Image will fool you. It will offer you applause before you've even earned peace. It will make you chase mirrors, praise, perfection, when what your soul truly longs for is honesty. The world will clap for your image. It will dress you in filters and titles and smiles that may not even belong to you. But your character, beloved, that quiet part of you that no one sees when the lights go out, that is what you must tend to like holy ground. We are taught from an early age how to look good, how to present ourselves, how to curate. We're given instructions on appearance, but not on integrity. And so many of us grow up being experts in performance and strangers to our true selves. We know how to impress a room, but not how to face ourselves in the mirror. And that's not our fault. That's what we were taught. But what we are taught is not always what we must continue to believe. There is no peace in maintaining an image. You will always be worried about being seen the right way instead of being the right way. You will exhaust yourself trying to be accepted while your soul withers from neglect. Image is fragile. It is glass. It shatters the moment life throws a stone. But character is stone. It stands. It endures. It survives the storm without needing to look good doing it. You must understand this. Character is not about how you behave when the spotlight is on. It's about what you do in the shadows, how you treat people who cannot benefit you, how you speak about others when their backs are turned, whether your kindness is consistent or conditional, whether your compassion is loud or simply lived. Your image might charm a room, but your character determines whether you leave that room with your integrity intact. Character is how you carry pain without passing it on. It's how you hold truth, even when it costs you. It's what you choose when no one is watching and no one will ever know. That's the garden you must tend to, because image grows fast but dies quickly. Character grows slowly but blooms forever. We live in a world obsessed with likes and followers. But ask yourself, what is the worth of being liked by thousands if you can't even sit still with your own spirit? Who are you when the camera is off, when there's no one to impress, when the only one who sees you is God? You cannot fake depth, you cannot edit virtue, and you cannot mask the silence of a hollow soul with the noise of public approval. You must choose to water the roots, not just the leaves. Tend to the parts of you that don't show up on a screen, the loyalty that doesn't tweet, the humility that doesn't post, the apology that is whispered, not broadcast. That is where real strength lives. That is where wholeness is found. Image is what people say about you. Character is what God knows about you. Do not let popularity seduce you into becoming a stranger to yourself. Do not let performance become your prison. You are not here to be palatable. You are not here to be consumed. You are here to be real, to be kind, to be honest, to be human in a world of masks. And that kind of authenticity does not come from curating your life. It comes from cultivating your heart. There is no peace in playing a role you were never meant to perform. Let go of the version of you that exists only for validation. Return to the you that exists for truth. Because when the audience leaves and the lights go down and the applause fades, you will be left with the only thing that truly matters: yourself, your heart, your choices, your legacy. Not your image, but your impact. Not your fame, but your faithfulness to who you were always meant to be. Stillness is not silence. It is not the absence of sound, of movement, or of action. Stillness is presence without panic. It is the quiet strength that anchors your soul when the winds of the world begin to rise. Stillness is not weakness. It is the mature decision to pause before reacting, to observe before judging, to breathe before speaking. It is the sacred posture of the soul that knows rushing does not lead to peace, and noise does not guarantee wisdom. We are raised in a world that glorifies hustle, that worships speed, that tells you if you're not moving, you're falling behind. But what if the race is not where your purpose lives? What if your clarity is not found in acceleration, but in stillness? What if the very thing you need to hear, the direction you've been seeking, the healing you've been praying for, is waiting for you in the quiet that you've been too busy to reach? Stillness is a discipline. It does not come naturally in a culture of constant distraction. It must be practiced, returned to, carved out like a sacred space in your day. You cannot simply stumble into stillness. You must choose it. You must protect it. Because the world will keep throwing noise at you, notifications, opinions, demands, comparisons, all of them designed to pull you away from yourself, all of them designed to keep you reacting instead of reflecting. But when you are still, truly still, you begin to hear what has been calling your name in the silence. Stillness gives birth to discernment. You begin to know what is truly yours to carry and what is simply noise disguised as urgency. You stop responding to every fire alarm with panic. You stop offering your energy to everything that demands your attention. You begin to realize that peace is not found in control. It is found in surrender, in choosing to rest, even when the world insists you must run, in choosing to stand still, even when everything in you wants to escape. There's a strength in the person who does not need to be loud to be heard, who does not need to rush to feel productive, who can sit with their own thoughts, their own emotions without flinching. That kind of strength cannot be bought. It cannot be faked. It is built slowly through the practice of returning to your own center again and again. In stillness, you begin to trust timing. You stop trying to force doors open and start listening for the ones that were always meant for you. You learn to walk with wisdom, not just speed. You learn to move with intention, not just reaction. Stillness helps you distinguish between your anxiety and your intuition.